We've got GB News. They want some interviews.
You vlogging? I've seen if you're like a YouTuber or something.
Yeah, just filming videos like everybody else. Do you know what? Do you know who's here or what it is? Or
Andy Burnham.
yeah. I'm just filming like everybody else.
No,
just being nosy.
Yeah.
And yeah, just on the topic as well, while I'm standing here, guys, just a little word of advice, because I know a lot of YouTubers have been banned from Manchester recently. I would just advise you to be a bit more professional. You know, if you look at what's going on, there's literally about 3 YouTubers left in Manchester that are actually not banned. You know, so I'd advise you to be a bit more professional, because at the end of the day, this is one of the reasons why they don't want us here, because we bring a little bit of a different narrative. We've shifted the narrative and they lost control of the narrative. Manchester Evening News lost a lot of custom because of it. BBC, ITV, all of the different... Nobody wants to watch mainstream news anymore. They watch YouTube for the real news, and they don't like that. So this is why they wanted to get rid of YouTubers from Manchester. So I just be a little bit more smart about it. Be more professional. Don't give the police an opportunity to arrest you or lock you up.
Remember when the news was just the news. Years ago, journalism was brilliantly, wonderfully, spectacularly boring. You turn on the television at 6 o'clock in the evening, or whenever, and a figure in a black and white image would look directly into the camera and say, "Good evening. A bridge was built in Manchester today. It is made of steel. Traffic is moving smoothly. Here is the weather." And that was it. You went to bed knowing 2 things. Manchester had a new bridge, and you needed an umbrella tomorrow. It wasn't designed to make your heart rate spike. It was designed to inform you. Journalists operated under this wild, ancient philosophy called objectivity. Their job was simple: gather the facts, present them neutrally, and let the audience figure out how to feel about it. Fast forward to today.
Nigel Farage with his customary inflammatory language there at a Reform UK press conference. He declined to stand for a seat, but we will have more on what Farage is saying. Now, an apology. Earlier today, we heard live from Nigel Farage speaking at that election event we just saw. And when we came away from his live speech, I used language to describe it, which didn't meet the BBC's editorial standards on impartiality. I'd like to apologise to Mr Farage and viewers for this.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. After nearly 5 years of investigation, the FBI finally announced that they had arrested a suspect accused of planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosions.
Before we start tonight, we want to apologise for an error we made on last night's programme. In an interview about the murder of 18-year-old Henry Novak, we mistakenly quoted the Reform UK leader Nigel Farage as saying people should respond to his death with a white, cold rage. To be clear, Mr Farage actually said pure cold rage, as had been stated earlier in the programme. We apologise to him for this mistake. Last night's Newsnight has been removed from iPlayer and BBC Sounds.
When you think of the quintessential sneering white liberal journalist, this woman from The Economist comes to mind.
People think that this man who has all this power, he's the world's richest man, he thinks he has a right to influence our politics. It's why people loathe you. I mean, some people do loathe you.
Maybe some people do loathe me. And that's probably true. I don't care. But the fact that, as you pointed out, 250 million people follow me is that I think a lot more people actually like me than don't. And I think a lot more people hate you and the media more than you realize.
Oh, gosh, I love this. I loved every minute of this interview. He's 100% correct. And Ms. Beddoes, this woman, is absolutely clueless. Her rank hatred for Musk is obvious in every syllable she uttered in this just published wide-ranging interview. Now, the indisputable truth is that Democrats are the ones who've gone off the deep end, not Musk. They're going to die, apparently, on this transgender hill of men playing in women's sports. Then they're abandoning the once pragmatic approach to immigration.
This administration, the Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem, and the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away.
Yeah, Obama used to be sane. But today, many Democrats would call that Obama a fascist, a xenophobe. And The Economist would probably brand his views far right. But the fact is, those are the views, sweetheart, of the majority of Americans.
You support not just the populist right, but the far right. In fact, very fringe parties in some countries.
No, I support the normal people.
Okay.
What do you call the far right? Falsely.
You think as the normal person. Okay.
Yes. Literally, you could go back 10 or 15 years, and these policies were completely normal.
Yeah, I mean, all of those policies, I mean, again, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, all held most of these views. So when he took the bold step of buying Twitter, Elon Musk triggered widespread alarm and public scorn on the left, especially among DC's media elite. There was this headline from the Washington Post: "Why Elon Musk is so polarizing." Journalists rejected his stated goal, which was to restore free speech to social media, as the reason he bought Twitter, and instead they accused him of platforming mis- and disinformation.
Let's talk a bit about your tweets, because it comes up a lot. Even today, it came up in anticipation of this. I mean, you do some tweets that seem to be, or at least give support to some who would call others conspiracy theories.
Well, yes, but I mean, honestly, some of these conspiracy theories have turned out to be true.
Which ones?
Well, like the Hunter Biden laptop.
That's true.
Free speech is meaningless unless you allow people you don't like to say things you don't like. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. And if at the point at which you lose free speech, it doesn't come back.
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
Well, who's to say that something is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of that? Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me?
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter, because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? At the point at which you say that there is this is misinformation, like who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause...
Yes, and the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false. Do you agree that that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
what hate
something
speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter,
right?
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like, or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you
don't.
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
and
said
actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a
my
second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed.
You just lied.
What I claimed was. There are many organisations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not, I mean, right? And
literally
you can look at something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I've already said, I don't use that feed. But
then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation. You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
More breaking news this evening. Joe Rogan, an extremely popular podcaster, announced on social media today that he has COVID. Rogan has said young, healthy people don't need to get vaccinated. In his statement on social media, Rogan said he has taken several therapeutics to recover.
Turns out I got COVID.
One of those drugs he mentioned, ivermectin, is something more often used to deworm horses. CDC says there's no evidence it works on COVID. Its increased usage has only led to a substantial increase in overdoses after a push by some on the far right, citing vaccine misinformation.
Well. If it isn't old horseworm Rogan. I'm glad you're well, man.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
I don't know, do you?
They're making shit up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor. It's an American company.
Mm-hmm.
They won the Nobel Prize in 2015 for use in human beings.
Yeah.
And CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Yeah, what? So
they must know that that's a lie.
Well, there's a lot of people saying it.
Right, but a lot of people can say it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the internet says it. Who cares?
Sure,
but CNN is saying it. Like Jim Acosta.
I meant like.
The BBC claims to be the pinnacle of impartial reporting, but what if there was an internal dossier that revealed that wasn't the case? The Telegraph has seen a letter that reveals one of the BBC's own independent advisors repeatedly warned that the broadcaster had serious and systemic problems. A week before the US election, BBC Panorama released a documentary called Trump: A Second Chance, and in it, they played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
But Trump didn't in fact say this at all. The BBC spliced together two clips that took place 54 minutes apart. So let's go through it again.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut. Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that he then said the second part of the BBC's version.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
A review finding that the BBC breached its editorial guidelines on accuracy by failing to disclose that a narrator of a Gaza documentary was the son of a Hamas official. The corporation pulled Gaza: How to Survive a War Zone from iPlayer back in February. The review determined that Hoya Films, the independent production company, is primarily responsible for the failure, but that the BBC also shares some responsibility.
Do not skip this. The government is preparing to force you to consume BBC and establishment media content to the top of your social media feeds by law. Yes, you could be force-fed what I would call government propaganda and state-controlled media by default, and they're trying to do it by controlling and forcing social media companies to manipulate their algorithms. This is Orwellian nightmare fuel in real-life Britain.
Secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause.
Well, that's Apple's 1984-themed Macintosh commercial there, giving us what I think is an insight into what life in Britain will or can be like. The government want to counter so-called misinformation by trusted news from the BBC and perhaps other state-owned media like Channel 4. They want to give them undue prominence on social media or those that peddle their narrative. Just a reminder that the BBC itself has spread fake news and misinformation on countless occasions. It has a track record, even tracing back to 1984, when the BBC edited miners' strike footage out of sequence to falsely show protesters attacking police first. It acknowledged 7 years later that its mistake was made, and they said was made in the haste of putting the news together. That was their excuse, rather than a deliberate attempt to mislead. Well, in 2023, the BBC incorrectly reported the reason for Nigel Farage's bank account closure. They later amended and apologised, of course. Then there's the famous Trump panorama edit. The Beeb spliced clips from his January the 6th speech to falsely imply he directly called for violence in the Capitol. BBC apologised, they pulled the programme, then their Director General had to resign, and Trump is now suing them for billions. And what about the 2025 Gaza documentary? It was called Gaza: How to Survive a War Zone. That was narrated by the son of a Hamas official without any disclosure. It was, of course, ruled materially misleading. The BBC pulled it and ordered an on-air statement. There are hundreds of examples of this. I can't list them all here tonight. In fact, the BBC's own BBC Verify, its unit designed to combat misinformation, has been caught peddling misinformation itself. It's mental. This new government's proposal is a pure act of tyranny. It is designed to control you, your family, your friends on an industrial scale. Basically, what they want is for you to be sheep.